1 month later, Han stood at a large window on the Dravik ship, looking at Earth below. The blue planet seemed peaceful from space. It would stay that way now. "The Council has reached their decision," Suji said, joining him at the window. After the exoskeletons failed, everything changed quickly. Jin and the other captives had secured the ship. The Dravik, without their artificial strength, couldn't fight back. For the first time in their history, the mighty Dravik Empire had been defeated. "What did they decide?" Han asked. "Earth will remain free," Suji said, "and all previously conquered worlds will be given independence." Han smiled. "And the Dravik?" "We will learn a new way to live," Suji explained. "Many younger Dravik already support the changes. We relied too much on strength and forgot other values." A door opened behind them. Jin entered, followed by several former captives. They all looked different now, confident, proud. "The new ships are ready," Jin announced. "We can return to our worlds now." Han nodded. "I'm glad. Many of us would not be going home without you," Jin said. He placed a four-fingered hand on Han's shoulder. "You taught us that weakness can hide great strength." As Jin and the others left to prepare for their journeys, Rek entered the room. The former commander looked different without his powered exoskeleton. He wore a simple support frame that helped him move but gave no extra strength. "Hanta," Rek said stiffly. "The council wishes to speak with you." Han followed Rek to the council chamber. 7 Dravik sat around a table. They rose when Han entered. "Hantai of Earth," the head counselor said, "we have a proposal." "I'm listening," Han replied. "For 17 conquered worlds, we were conquerors. For Earth, we wish to be allies." Han considered this carefully. "What kind of allies?" "Equal ones," the counselor said. "We have technology. You have different kinds of strength. Together, we could both benefit." "And the other worlds?" Han asked. "The same offer extends to them," the counselor assured him. "We have learned our mistake." Han thought of Earth, of all the good that could come from peaceful exchange with advanced aliens, but he also remembered the Dravik's cruelty. "I will bring your offer to Earth's leaders," Han said, "but trust must be earned." The counselor nodded. "Understood." Later, as Han prepared to return to Earth, Suji met him in the shuttle bay. "I will be the official ambassador to Earth," she told him, "if you'll accept me." "Earth would be lucky to have you," Han said. "You saw the truth when others wouldn't." Suji's mandibles moved in what Han now recognized as a smile. "I learned from you. Sometimes the smallest actions change everything." Before Han boarded the shuttle, Jin approached with a small metal object. "A gift," Jin said, handing it to Han. "On my world, we give this to a person of great wisdom." Han accepted it with thanks. The shuttle ride to Earth was quiet. Han watched the Dravik ship grow smaller above him. In just 1 month, the balance of power in this part of the galaxy had completely changed. When Han landed, government officials were waiting. They had been briefed on the situation and wanted to meet the human who had saved Earth. "Dr. Han," a government representative said, "how did you defeat an entire alien empire?" Han thought about the answer. "I didn't defeat them," he said. "I showed them a different kind of strength." In the weeks that followed, Earth prepared for its new role in the galaxy. Han returned to his pharmaceutical work, now focused on beneficial exchanges with alien biology. Suji became a respected figure in both human and Dravik society. The Dravik Empire was replaced by the Galactic Alliance, with all worlds having equal voices. Their official records added a new warning that would guide them for generations to come. "Judge not a species by a single measure, for the universe contains infinite kinds of strength. Remember the human who was chosen for weakness but proved the strongest of all." Hanta, once considered the weakest human, had changed the stars themselves. Rek moved into the air circulation room, blocking the only exit. His 4 arms flexed with power. The exoskeleton made him twice Han's size. "Did you really think you could stop an empire?" Rek asked. You, the weakest of your kind. Han held the vial tightly. Sujai stepped beside him, her mandibles twitching nervously. Commander, Suji said, this doesn't have to end in violence. Silence, traitor, Rek snapped. You chose the human over your own kind. Han looked at the air intake behind him, then at Rek. He needed to get the formula into the system, but Rek stood in their way. You're right about one thing, Han said. I am physically weak. That's why you chose me, isn't it? To prove humans are not worth respecting. Yes, Rek confirmed. We always select the weakest to prove a species' inferiority. But that was your mistake, Han said. On Earth, when someone is weak in one way, they become strong in others. Rek laughed. Philosophy won't save your planet, human. Han took a small step toward the air intake. Tell me, Commander, have you ever fought without your exoskeleton? The question caught Rek off guard. Of course not. The exoskeleton is Dravic power. It is what makes us superior. Then you don't really know if you're strong, Han said. The armor makes you strong. Without it, what are you? Anger flashed in Rek's eyes. Enough talk. He lunged forward. Han dodged with surprising quickness. Years of navigating a world not designed for his condition had taught him to move efficiently. He couldn't match Rek's power, but he could avoid it. Suji moved to help, but Rek knocked her aside with one powerful arm. She hit the wall hard and slumped to the floor. Suji, Han called out. Taking advantage of Han's distraction, Rek grabbed him with two of his arms. He lifted Han off the ground easily. You see, Rek said, this is real strength. Han struggled, but couldn't break free. The vial was still clutched in his hand, but he couldn't reach the air intake. You're wrong, Han gasped despite the painful grip. Real strength isn't about power. It's about using what you have wisely. With one desperate move, Han threw the vial. It sailed over Rek's shoulder and shattered against the wall, nowhere near the air intake. Rek laughed. You missed. Did I? Han asked. Rek suddenly noticed the liquid from the vial was spreading along the wall, following the seams of the metal panels. It reached a small vent, a secondary air intake Han had spotted earlier. No, Rek shouted. He dropped Han and rushed to stop the formula, but it was too late. The liquid disappeared into the vent. Alarms blared throughout the ship. Emergency protocols activated as the ship's systems detected an unknown substance in the air. What have you done? Rek demanded. I leveled the playing field, Han answered. The effect was almost immediate. The formula spread through the air system, reaching every corner of the ship. When it contacted the Dravic exoskeletons, it neutralized the power source. Rek felt it first. His mighty exoskeleton began to power down. The enhanced strength faded. His forearms became heavy and difficult to move. What is happening? Rek asked in panic. Your exoskeleton is temporarily disabled, Han explained. Now we're equal. For the first time, Han saw the true Dravic beneath the armor. Without the exoskeleton's support, Rek was not much larger than Han. His limbs were thin, almost fragile. You've destroyed us, Rek said, his voice now lacking its former power. No, Han corrected. I've shown you the truth. Without your technology, you're not superior. You're just different. Across the ship, Dravic soldiers found themselves suddenly weakened. The captives, led by Jin, were winning their fight. The power balance had shifted completely. Sujai stirred and sat up. She looked at Rek with new eyes. This is why we should have studied humans properly, she told him. Instead of judging them by one trait, we should have seen their true strength. Rek stared at Han, unable to accept what had happened. How could the weakest human defeat the strongest Dravic? Han's answer was simple. Because I never believed I was weak. The combat arena was a large circular room. Han stood in the center, trying not to show his fear. Commander Rek and other Dravic officers watched from above. Begin combat assessment, Rek ordered. A door opened. A robot entered the arena. It was half Han's height, with metal arms and legs. "This is a training unit," Suji explained from beside Rek. "Set to lowest difficulty." Even so, Han knew he could not win a physical fight. The robot moved toward him. Han backed away. The other captives watched from a separate viewing area. Jin looked disappointed. The robot lunged. Han barely dodged. He stumbled and fell. The Dravik officers clicked their mandibles in mockery. "Pathetic," Rek said. "End this waste of time." "Wait," Suji said. "Let us see how the human responds." Han got up slowly. The robot charged again. Instead of trying to fight, Han watched its movements carefully. He noticed a pattern. The robot paused briefly after each attack. On the next charge, Han timed his move perfectly. He sidestepped and the robot missed. While it paused, Han found a panel on its back. His researcher's eyes spotted the emergency shut-off button. He pressed it, and the robot powered down. Silence filled the arena. "He defeated the training unit," a Dravik officer said in disbelief. "Not through strength," Rek dismissed. "Through trickery." "Through intelligence," Suja corrected. The human found a solution that did not require physical power. Rek seemed annoyed. "Increase difficulty. Send in a level 3 unit." A larger robot entered. Han knew he couldn't find the same trick twice. This time, he looked around the arena for help. He noticed a control panel near one wall. As the robot approached, Han made his way toward the panel. The robot followed. When Han reached the panel, he quickly studied the symbols. They matched patterns he had seen in his cognitive tests. He pressed several buttons in quick succession. Suddenly, the gravity in the arena changed. The robot, being heavier, became unbalanced. It toppled over, unable to rise under the increased gravity. The Dravik observers buzzed with confusion. "He manipulated our systems," Rek exclaimed angrily. "Impressive adaptation," Suji noted. Rek ordered the combat assessment ended. Guards took Han back to his cell. As he passed Jin, the alien looked at him with new eyes. "Perhaps there are different kinds of strength," Jin conceded. Later, Sujay came to Han's cell with a medical kit. "You surprised everyone today," she said as she treated Han's bruises. "I used what I know," Han replied. "In my work on Earth, I solve problems with chemicals and formulas, not strength." Suji nodded. "I have been assigned to study you more closely now. Rek is concerned about your unpredictability." As Suji worked, Han noticed something about her exoskeleton. Up close, he could see it wasn't natural. It was a technological enhancement attached to the Dravik's real body. "Your exoskeleton," Han said carefully. "It's artificial." Suji froze. "How did you know?" "I can see the connection points," Han explained. "I work with similar systems in pharmaceuticals, external devices that deliver compounds to the body." Sujai lowered her voice. "Our natural bodies are more fragile than we appear. The exoskeletons give us strength. It is our greatest secret." This revelation hit Han like lightning. The Dravik weren't naturally strong. Their power came from technology. "What compounds power the exoskeleton?" Han asked, trying to sound casual. Suji hesitated, then showed him a small port on her arm. "A chemical mixture. It reacts with our technology to multiply our natural strength." Han recognized the base compound immediately. It was similar to chemicals he worked with on Earth. His mind raced with possibilities. "Is something wrong?" Suji asked, noticing his expression. "No," Han said quickly. "I'm just tired from today's tests." Suji finished her work and left. Han sat in his cell, thinking hard. The Dravik's power, their entire empire, depended on their enhanced strength, and that strength came from a chemical compound Han understood. For the first time since his capture, Han felt real hope. He might not be able to overpower the Dravik, but he might be able to outsmart them. Earth's weakest human had just discovered the Empire's greatest weakness. The stars looked cold and distant from Commander Rex's viewport. His massive ship hung in the darkness, hidden from Earth's primitive detection systems. 17 conquered worlds had already fallen to the Dravik Empire. Earth would be the 18th. "Begin the scan," Commander Rex ordered. His 4 arms moved in perfect sync as he operated the control panel. His hard exoskeleton gleamed under the ship's lights. "Find me a human specimen." "What parameters, Commander?" asked Officer Mock. "The weakest adult." As always, this was the Dravik way. Before conquering a planet, they would take one representative to study, but not the strongest or the best. No, the Dravik always chose the weakest adult they could find. It showed how little they thought of other species. If the weakest was pathetic, the whole species was not worth respect. "Scan complete," Officer Mock announced. "Subject identified." The screen showed a thin man walking slowly through a small apartment. He moved carefully, as if each step took effort. The data beside his image showed his vital signs and physical measurements. Han Ta, Rec read aloud. Age 28. Occupation, pharmaceutical researcher. Location, Seoul. Rex's mandibles clicked with satisfaction. Perfect. This human has a rare muscle condition. He is physically weaker than 99.8% of adult humans. "Shall we proceed with extraction?" asked Mock. "Yes." Immediate capture. The Dravik's beam technology activated. In seconds, Han Ta disappeared from his apartment without a trace. No evidence remained. No witnesses. Just another human who would be reported missing, never to be found. Han Ta had been making tea when the lights surrounded him. One moment he was in his kitchen, the next in a strange, cold room with metal walls. The sudden change made him drop to his knees. His muscles, already weak from his condition, struggled to adjust to the different gravity. "Where am I?" he asked the empty room. His voice sounded small even to himself. A door he hadn't noticed before slid open. Han gasped. The creature that entered wasn't human. It stood nearly 8 feet tall with 4 powerful arms and a body covered in hard plates like an insect. Its face had moving parts where a mouth should be. "You are aboard the Dravik Imperial vessel," the creature said, its strange mouth parts moving. A device on its chest translated its clicks and hisses into Korean. "I am Officer Mock. You are now property of the Dravik Empire." Han tried to stand, but his legs refused to support him. The slightly higher gravity in the ship made his condition worse. "Why me?" Han asked. "What do you want?" "You have been selected as Earth's representative," another voice said. A larger Dravik entered the room. Its exoskeleton was darker, marked with symbols Han didn't understand. It radiated authority. "I am Commander Rex. You will help us understand your species before we begin conquest." Han felt cold fear spread through his body. "Conquest? You plan to attack Earth?" "Of course," Rex said simply. "We have conquered 17 worlds before yours. Earth will be no different." The commander moved closer, studying Han with glittering eyes. "We always select the weakest specimen to evaluate a species. You, Han Ta, are physically inferior to most humans." Han knew this was true. Since childhood, his rare condition had limited him. He couldn't run, could barely climb stairs, had never been able to participate in sports. "If you represent the low point of humanity," Rex continued, "then your species will not present much challenge." As Han looked up at the towering alien, he understood. They had chosen him because they thought him worthless, because his weakness would justify their invasion. "Take him to holding," Rex ordered. "Begin testing tomorrow." As guards lifted Han to his feet, a strange calm replaced his fear. These aliens had made a mistake. They had judged him, judged all humans, by the strength of his body alone. They would learn that humans had other kinds of strength. "We have 12 hours, Suji whispered. "That's when the invasion fleet leaves." Han, Suji, and Jin sat in a corner of Suji's cell. The guards checked less often now, thinking their plans were already stopped. "Tell me about this liquid," Han said, looking at the small vial Suji had hidden. "It's a catalyst," Suji explained. "It can speed up chemical reactions. I thought it might help your formula work faster." Han nodded. "Perfect. But we still need more ingredients, and we need to get the formula into the air system." Jin moved closer. "The other captives will help now. Even Vex regrets his betrayal. Rek promised him freedom, but gave him nothing." "Can we trust them?" Han asked. "They have no choice," Jin said. "Earth is just the next planet. Their worlds are already lost. This may be their only chance for revenge." Suji carefully drew a simple map on the floor using water from her drinking cup. "The main air circulation system is here," she pointed. 2 levels up. But the guards are doubled now. Han studied the map. "We need a distraction. Something big." "I can provide that," Jin said firmly. "My people are known for their strength. I will give them a demonstration they won't forget." Han turned to Suji. "Can you get us out of these cells?" Suji hesitated. "Yes, I still know the emergency override codes. But once I use them, we'll have very little time." "Then we need to be ready," Han said. "Jin will create the distraction. Suji and I will go to the air system. But first, we need to complete the formula." Han explained what he needed. The captives in other cells listened carefully, then began to pass messages. Each had access to different items in their cells. One had a cleaning fluid. Another had a metal food tray that contained trace elements. A third had medicine for sleep. Throughout the day, they secretly passed these items between cells when guards weren't looking. Small things, nothing that would be noticed missing. But together, combined with Suji's catalyst, they would be enough. In his cell, Han mixed the ingredients carefully. His hands, weak as they were, had always been precise. Years of laboratory work made him confident, even with these limited tools. "It's ready," he finally announced. The clear liquid looked harmless, but Han knew its power. When this reacts with the compounds in their exoskeletons, it will neutralize them for about 30 minutes. "Will it harm them?" Suji asked. "No," Han said. "It only affects the exoskeleton. They'll be weak, like me, but not injured." Jin looked surprised. "You could hurt them, but you choose not to." "Hurting them won't save Earth," Han said, showing them their wrong might. As night cycle approached, tension filled the holding area. Every captive knew their role. This would be their only chance. "Now," Han whispered. Suji pressed her hand against a hidden panel in her cell. She entered a code. Suddenly, all cell doors slid open. Alarms blared immediately. Jin rushed out first, roaring a battle cry. He charged down the corridor toward the guard station. Other captives followed, creating chaos. Guards rushed to contain the situation. Just as Han had hoped, they focused on the stronger captives first. Han and Suji slipped away in the other direction. Suji led the way, moving quickly through service corridors few knew about. "This way," she whispered, pulling Han up a maintenance ladder. Han struggled with the climb. His weak muscles burned with effort. But he pushed through the pain, clutching the precious vial of formula. They reached the air circulation room, unnoticed. Inside, massive fans pushed air throughout the ship. The noise was deafening. "There." Suji pointed to an intake filter. "Put it there." Han moved toward it, but suddenly froze. Commander Rex stood in the doorway, his exoskeleton gleaming. "I knew you would try something," Rex said. "The weakest human, thinking he could defeat the Dravik Empire." Han stood tall despite his fear. "Being weak taught me to be clever." Rex laughed. "Cleverness won't save you now." Days passed on the Dravik ship. Each morning, guards took Han to the testing chambers. Each evening, they returned him to his cell, tired and sore. The physical tests continued to show his weakness. He could not lift the weights that other alien captives handled easily. He tired quickly during endurance tests. His reflexes were slow compared to Dravik standards. But during problem-solving tests, Han shined. He completed puzzles faster than any other captive. He memorized complex sequences that even the Dravik scientists struggled with. He found patterns where others saw only chaos. Your results are unusual, Suji told Han on the 5th day. They were alone in a small lab where Suji was taking blood samples. How so? Han asked. Your physical capacity is the lowest we have ever recorded, Suji said, checking that no other Dravik were near. But your cognitive scores are among the highest. Han smiled slightly. On Earth, I compensate for my physical limitations with my mind. Suji's head tilted in what Han had learned was a sign of curiosity. Explain. I cannot run, so I must plan my movements carefully, Han said. I cannot fight, so I must solve problems before they become dangerous. Suji processed this information. Commander Rek believes physical strength is the only true measure of the species. That is narrow thinking, Han replied. Humans value many kinds of strength. Suji was quiet for a moment. I need more samples, she finally said, changing the subject. As Suji worked, Han observed the lab. He noted the equipment, the chemicals, the technology. Everything in the room told him something about the Dravik. His researcher's mind cataloged and analyzed. Later that day, Han met another captive during a group assessment. The alien was tall with gray skin and 4 eyes. The translator called him Jin. You are the weak human, Jin said when they were briefly left alone. Yes, Han admitted. And you? I am a warrior from Kelnar. I was the champion of my people. Jin's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, but it did not save my world from the Dravik. What happened? Han asked. They selected me, tested me, then invaded. I was strong, but they were stronger. Jin's voice held bitterness. Now my people serve the Empire as laborers. Han considered this. The Dravik value physical strength above all else. Yes, and they are right to do so, Jin said. Strength is what matters in the universe. Not all strength comes from muscles, Han replied. Jin made a dismissive sound. What other kind is there? Before Han could answer, Commander Rek entered the room. All captives fell silent. Tomorrow begins combat assessment, Rek announced, his eyes fixed on Han. The human will go first. Han felt cold fear. Combat. His condition made physical fighting impossible. That night in his cell, Han could not sleep. Through the clear walls, he saw Jin watching him with what seemed like pity. The other captives also stared. They all knew tomorrow would likely be Han's last day. Suji came by late in the night cycle. She stopped at Han's cell, checking that no guards were nearby. The combat test is not fair for you, she said quietly. No, Han agreed. But fairness is not the Dravik way, is it? Suji's mandibles twitched. I have been studying your test results more closely. Your mind works differently than ours. Is that good or bad? Han asked. It is interesting, Suji replied. She hesitated, then added, Commander Rek has already ordered Earth invasion preparations to begin. Han's heart sank. So the tests don't matter. You've already decided. Rek has decided, Suji corrected. He believes humans will be easy to conquer. Because of me, Han said bitterly. Yes. Suji looked around again, then leaned closer to the clear wall. But I am not convinced. There is something about you I do not understand yet. With that cryptic statement, Suji hurried away, leaving Han alone with his thoughts. Tomorrow he would face combat, a test designed for him to fail. But tonight, watching the Dravik ship around him, Han began to see patterns and possibilities that others might miss. Perhaps being underestimated was the greatest advantage of all. Han woke on a firm bed in a small room with clear walls. His body ached from yesterday's events. Through the transparent walls, he could see other cells. Each held a different creature. None looked human. Han stood carefully, testing his legs. The higher gravity made his muscles work harder. He touched the clear wall. It felt cool and solid. Good. You are awake. Han turned to see Dravik watching him. This one was smaller than Commander Rek. Its exoskeleton had a bluish tint. I am Suji, research assistant, the Dravik said through its translator. I will explain your situation. Am I a prisoner? Han asked. You are a test subject, Suja corrected, like the others. Suji pointed to the other cells. Han saw 5 different aliens. Some had multiple limbs. Others had strange skin colors. One glowed faintly. Each represents a world the Dravik will conquer, Suja explained. We study you to learn how best to control your people. Why choose me? Han asked. I'm not typical. That is the point. Suji's mandibles clicked rapidly. Others are the strongest of their kind. You are the only weak specimen. Han understood the insult. The other aliens had been chosen for strength. He alone was chosen for weakness. The message was clear. Humans were not worthy of respect. A door opened at the end of the hall. Commander Rek entered with 2 guards. Bring the human to the assessment room, Rek ordered. The guards opened Han's cell. Han didn't resist as they led him down a long corridor. They entered a large room filled with strange equipment. This is where we measure your capabilities, Rek said. The results help us plan our conquest of Earth. And if I refuse to participate? Han asked. Rek's eyes narrowed. Then we take Earth without data. We might destroy more than necessary. Han nodded slowly. He had no choice. He must play along for now. What do you want me to do? He asked. First, a strength test. The guards brought Han to a machine with handles. Han recognized it as similar to exercise equipment on Earth. He had to pull the handles apart with all his strength. Han gripped the handles and pulled. He strained, his face turning red. The machine barely registered his effort. The guards clicked their mandibles. Han thought they might be laughing. Next came a running test. Han could only manage a slow walk on the treadmill. His heart pounded painfully, and sweat soaked his clothes. The Dravik recorded everything. By the end of the physical tests, Han was exhausted. He sat trembling on a bench while the Dravik reviewed the results. Pathetic, Rek said. If all humans are this weak, Earth will fall quickly. All humans are not like me, Han said between breaths. I told you, I have a rare condition. Even your strongest would be weak compared to Dravik, Rek said dismissively. Now for cognitive testing. Han perked up at this. His body might be weak, but his mind was not. The guards took him to another station with a screen. Symbols appeared that Han didn't recognize. These are pattern recognition tests, Sujai explained, suddenly beside him. Solve them if you can. Han studied the patterns. They were complex, but he quickly saw the logic. His years of pharmaceutical research had trained him to recognize patterns in chemical structures. He began solving them, one after another. Suji watched closely. Interesting, she said quietly. After an hour, Han had completed all the cognitive tests. The Dravik analyzed his results. The human shows adequate mental function. An officer reported to Rek. Above average pattern recognition. Rek seemed unimpressed. Mental ability is secondary. Physical weakness is what matters in conquest. As Han was led back to his cell, Suji walked beside him. You did well on the cognitive tests, she said softly. Thanks, Han replied. There's more to humans than physical strength. Perhaps, Suji said, but Commander Rek doesn't care about that. Back in his cell, Han watched the other alien captives. They looked strong but defeated. Han was physically weaker than all of them, yet he felt something they seemed to lack. Hope. The Dravik had made a mistake. They thought they had captured the weakest human. Instead, they had captured a human who had spent his entire life overcoming weakness. Han smiled to himself. The invasion of Earth would not go as the Dravik planned. 3 days had passed since Han discovered the Dravik secret. Each night, after the ship's lights dimmed, he worked carefully in his cell. The Dravik had provided him with basic comforts, water, food, and simple tools to keep himself clean. Han now used these items for a different purpose. He mixed small amounts of his food with water, creating pastes of different colors. He used the edge of his food tray to mark tiny notes on the underside of his bed. The guards never checked there. "What are you doing, human?" Jin asked in a low voice from the next cell. The other captives were sleeping. "I found a weakness," Han whispered. "The Dravik are not naturally strong." Jin moved closer to the clear wall between their cells. "Explain." "Their exoskeletons are technological, not biological," Han said. "And I think I can disable them." Jin's 4 eyes widened. "How?" "I need to create a compound that will interrupt the chemical reaction in their armor," Han said. "But I need more materials." Jin thought for a moment. "If you help me escape, I will help you get what you need." Han nodded. An alliance was forming. The next day, Sujai came to take Han for more tests. As they walked through the corridors, Han noticed more details about the ship: air vents, control panels, security systems. His eyes missed nothing. "You seem distracted today," Sujai commented. "I'm thinking about Earth," Han said. It wasn't a complete lie. "Is the invasion already planned?" Sujai hesitated before answering. "Yes. Commander Rek has set the date. 3 Earth weeks from now." Han's heart raced. 3 weeks. Not much time. "Sujai," he said carefully, "do you believe conquering other worlds is right?" The question clearly surprised her. "It is the Dravik way," she said automatically. Then, after a pause, "But I have been studying your test results, and those of other species. There is much we could learn through cooperation rather than conquest." Han saw his opportunity. On Earth, different people have different strengths. We work together. Scientists like me develop medicines that help everyone, even though we may not be physically strong. "An interesting system," Sujai admitted. "Different from ours." "May I ask a favor?" Han said. "For my research, I used certain compounds. Could I see if you have similar ones here? It would help me understand your technology better." Sujai seemed unsure. "That is not part of your testing program. Consider it cultural exchange," Han suggested. "I will show you how humans approach chemical research." After a moment, Sujai agreed. She took Han to a small laboratory and showed him their chemical storage system. Han carefully noted which compounds were available. Many were similar to those he used on Earth. "Perfect. This is fascinating," Han said, pointing to specific chemicals. "On Earth, we would combine these to create medicines." Sujai was genuinely interested. "Perhaps you could demonstrate." "For scientific purposes." Han nodded eagerly. "I would need small samples of these compounds." Sujai checked that no one was watching, then collected tiny amounts of the chemicals Han requested. "These must stay in the lab," she warned. "Of course," Han agreed. But as Sujai turned to prepare the workstation, Han slipped one crucial compound into his sleeve. It was a key ingredient he would need later. That night, Han shared his plan with Jin. "I'm developing a formula that will neutralize their exoskeletons," Han whispered. "But I need to get it into their air system." Jin nodded. "Many guards pass by during shift changes. I can create a distraction." "Not yet," Han cautioned. "The formula isn't ready. We have only one chance." As Han spoke, he noticed another captive watching them. The alien had been brought in recently and kept to itself. Now its eyes were fixed on Han and Jin with clear suspicion. Han lowered his voice further. "We must be careful. If the Dravik learn what we're planning." Jin nodded grimly. "We would not live to see another day." But unknown to them, their new neighbor had already decided to improve its own situation, at their expense. Han's formula was almost complete. For 5 days, he had worked secretly in his cell. Sujai had unwittingly provided more chemicals during their cultural exchange sessions. Jin had kept watch and warned Han whenever guards approached. What Han created was simple but powerful, a compound that would react with the Dravik exoskeleton power source and neutralize it. Not permanently, but long enough to create chaos. Tomorrow, Han whispered to Jin. We move tomorrow. Jin nodded. I am ready. But in the cell beyond Jin's, the quiet captive had been listening. This alien, a thin, pale creature named Vex, had made a decision. Vex's world had already fallen to the Dravik. Perhaps by helping them, Vex could gain favor. When the night cycle began and the corridors were empty, Vex called out to a passing guard. Guard, I have important information for Commander Rek. The guard stopped. What information? The human is planning something, Vex said. Something to weaken the Dravik. The guard immediately called for backup. Within minutes, Commander Rek himself arrived. Explain, Rek demanded. The human has created a chemical weapon, Vex said. He plans to use it against your exoskeletons. The female scientist has been helping him. Rek's mandibles clicked rapidly in anger. Search the human cell. Find this weapon. Guards rushed to Han's cell. Han woke to the sound of the door sliding open. Quickly, he pushed his hidden formula deeper under his bed. Stand up, a guard ordered. Han obeyed, heart pounding. The guard searched every corner of his cell. They flipped his bed, checked his clothes, examined his food tray. They found nothing. Han had hidden his work too well. But Rek was not satisfied. Bring Suji to me, he ordered. Suji was dragged from her quarters to the holding area. Her mandibles trembled in fear as she faced Rek. You have helped the human, Rek accused. You have betrayed the Dravik Empire. I have done no such thing, Suji protested. I have been studying him, as ordered. Lies, Rek shouted. The Pale One has told us everything. Han looked at Vex, who wouldn't meet his eyes. The betrayal was clear. Suji has done nothing wrong, Han said. This is a misunderstanding. Silence. Rek's voice echoed through the chamber. We will find the truth. Guards took Sujai and Han to separate interrogation rooms. For hours, they questioned Han about his plan. Han denied everything. Without evidence, they could not prove his guilt. In the other room, Sujai faced worse treatment. The Dravik had no patience for traitors. I believed we could learn from other species, Suji told Rek. Is that betrayal? To think we might not need conquest? Yes, Rek said coldly. That is exactly betrayal. Sujai stood tall despite her fear. Then perhaps our way is wrong. The words hung in the air like a challenge. Several junior officers shifted uncomfortably. Suji's ideas were dangerous. They threatened the very foundation of Dravik society. Suji is hereby stripped of rank, Rek announced. She will be imprisoned with the other captives until we return home for her trial. Guards led Suji to an empty cell near Han's. She looked defeated but somehow also defiant. When the guards left, Han moved to the wall nearest Suji. I'm sorry, he said quietly. This is my fault. Sujai looked up. No, it is mine for questioning our ways. After a pause, she added, but I do not regret it. What happens now? Han asked. The invasion of Earth will proceed immediately, Suji said. Rek will not wait any longer. He fears what other plans you might have. Han felt despair wash over him. His planet would be attacked. His family, friends, everyone he knew would face the Dravik Empire's cruelty. Then we have failed, he said. Perhaps, Suji replied. Then she moved closer to the clear wall and whispered, but I managed to hide something during my arrest. She carefully opened her hand to reveal a small vial of clear liquid. I realized what you were planning, she said. I made this to help. For the first time in days, Han smiled. Not all hope was lost. The betrayal had changed their plans. but it hadn't ended them.